We'll see.
Joining us right now on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, the Titans general manager, Rand Carthon, just days after his first draft class was picked here as the Titans GM. Good morning, Rand. How are you?
Top of the top. How we doing?
Good morning.
We're good, and wanted to just start with your view of the entire class you brought in here for your first draft class in Tennessee. As you reflect on the guys you made Titans over the weekend, what do you like the most about this class?
First and foremost, I think they're all good football players. I think they all bring something, refreshing to their respective positions. But more than anything, they're good people, people that we got the opportunity to spend time with, that we really got to know, and feel like that, they have the qualities of what we want a Titan to be.
Well, Rand, I'm going to start at the quarterback position because that's where the conversation often begins in a draft class when you add a QB. What did you see in Will Levis in 2021 that made you believe in his ability to maybe overcome some of the struggles he had in 2022?
Well, Will is a, big, strong guy, has a strong arm. He's run NFL offenses, whether it was under Liam Cohen or Rich Gangarello. They ran NFL-style offenses. So from a comprehension standpoint, he understands NFL concepts, and he's executed NFL concepts. But, the one thing that really stood out about Will at his position, he's extremely tough, and extremely competitive. And I think you kind of saw some of that in his reaction, whether it was the first night of the draft or after he got the call that we were taking him, you kind of saw some of that competitive fire come out. So you feel good about him coming in and, being the best teammate he can be and competing for us.
And when it comes to now that quarterback's room, Rand, you've got Ryan Tannehill, who Mike Vrabel this past weekend said is the number one right now, followed by Malik Willis. And then you've got Will Levis, who has every chance to do what he needs to do to be that guy in the future. How do you see this all working in terms of just pushing each other? And what do you see that like as competition this fall?
The one thing Coach Vrabel has, been consistent about in his message to the team is that you earn it on the grass. Regardless of draft status, regardless of how, you got here, you earn it on the grass. So, those guys, and just like any other position, if you're a good player and you come out and you work your behind off, your assignment, and you show it on the field, you'll get the opportunity to play. So, again, it's going to all be determined by those guys.
There was a great pick in terms of this show, at least. We've been following a lot of running back Tajay Spears because we were also down at the Senior Bowl where we had you on our show. And I know you guys kind of got a chance to meet him at the Senior Bowl and follow him from then on in terms of the draft process. But what was it about him that really you said, we've got to have him here, he's a good fit in that running backs room?
Well, we felt like Tajay was a three-down runner that can, not only run the ball and, give you production there, but he was really good in the passing game. And he's tough in terms of pass protection, and you saw that at the Senior Bowl. You saw his progression and how he got better each day in terms of the pass pro drills throughout the week. So it showed his ability to, be able to improve in just a short amount of time. But again, it goes back to when we brought him in on a visit, and I remember Mike and I having him here in the office and just talking to him about non-football, talking to him about life and getting to know the person. Like, you felt really good about, him as a young man, that shows some level of maturity and understood who he was and who he wasn't in the area that he needed to improve. So it just really encouraged you about, having him grow up here as a Titan.
And real quick, Rand, just about the health is always a thing in the last two seasons with, fans and just questioning that. And so you guys felt comfortable, too, with just his health and those knees and everything?
Yeah, so before we ever enter the draft, process, we have the medical meeting with our medical team, and it's not only our head trainer Todd, but it's our team doctors as well. So we knew we know the nature of his knee. and the prognosis and, what it means for his future. But more than anything, Tajay knows his own plan. He knows what it takes to get him ready to play. And I think he's shown over the last couple of years that, whatever it is or isn't with the knee, that he knows what it takes to play, and he's played.
Rand, when it comes to taking a quarterback in the second round like Will Levis, and you also having Ryan Tannehill on the roster too, do you lean on your time as a player? You and Vrabel both playing at this level. Lean on your time as a player to say, you know what? Even if the masses don't agree with what we got going on, we know what this process is like. What is it like inside the building for you and Vrabel as far as picking them?
Well, for us, man, Ramon, I was waiting on the O-line talk with you, but
I was.
Always.
Well, you know how it goes.
You're getting fancy now. You want to talk quarterback?
Fancy.
I got that queued up, man. You know how this league goes. The quarterbacks always take over, man. We just protect and go.
No, I'll say this about, and again, it's led by coach in terms of, the competition for the guys. Like, it's our job, to continue to look for good football players to add and create competition at every position. Like you said, this is a quarterback-driven league, and realistically, it's almost like how we talk about offensive linemen. You could never have enough. You could never have enough pass rushers. And so, I really lean on my experience coming from San Francisco this last year, where if we did not have three quarterbacks, going into the season, who knows what our season would have looked like, and so, but also with adding a guy like Ryan, it's trusting your board and understanding the value of, players and positions, and knowing that he was a guy that was, highly coveted on our board and highly thought of, and he was just there in the second and gave us opportunity to get him.
And to that point, too, the offensive line, Peter Skoronski, how easy is it to pick a guy like that whenever they fall? Like, he's a top 3 guy we had this entire draft process. Were you shocked that he fell that way? And not only that, the Jalen Duncan pick, too. You guys have created a culture inside of that room now that screams competition across the board for everybody. Was that the purpose of those 2 picks?
Well, let's start with Peter. Peter was a guy, like you said, everyone knows, the level of player that he is, and he was a guy, again, we didn't think would be there. One that we liked from the very start of the process, and but didn't think he would be there. And as it started to take shape, it was he stood out when you're looking at your board, not only vertically but horizontally. Where he was placed, it stood out, and so we were fortunate to be able to get him. And then a guy like Jalen. Jalen has all the traits and physical skills to be a productive player, in this league. And once we brought him in here for a 30 visit, he had an incredible visit with us, and that really encouraged us about who he is as a person. So he's a guy that we're really excited about, working with on and off the field.
He's kind of come out and say, he's not really played guard a whole lot. You look at the Dillard signing earlier this offseason, too. Do you kind of look at that and say, we got 2 guys that are super flexible with their transition into this NFL? Do you kind of consider him going to left tackle or guard first when it comes to Skoronski?
In terms of Skoronski, I think ultimately he'll determine that.
Okay.
Whether you turn the card in as a tight end, you know what I mean? Like, again, he's versatile, and we have other guys on our team that are versatile that, hopefully will give us the opportunity to just put our best 5 on the field instead of lumping guys in one particular way. They're versatile in that they have experience, whether it's guys playing both tackles or guys playing, guard and tackle, or say a guy like Brunskill that's played all 5. It'll allow us just to put our best 5 on the field.
Titans general manager Rand Carthon, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rand, what other ways do you see your team addressing the wide receiver position and the need you have there moving forward this offseason?
Well, it's the offseason isn't over. Our 53-man roster doesn't have to be set until September. So we'll continue to, look to address that. Again, we're in practically the third phase of player acquisition. It was free agency first and now the draft, and then now we have, other leagues coming to the end of their years. And, there are going to be these waiver wires coming up because as teams are adding players, they have to be compliant with the 90-man roster rules, and so people are going to get cut. So, we're going to continue to work to not only improve, at the wide receiver room, but just our team as a whole. But, it just requires patience from everybody. It required, patience from the players we didn't take in free agency or the players that we didn't take, in the draft. Like, it doesn't mean that it's over. We just got to, continue to be patient and allow this whole process to take shape. We don't have to get down to 53 until September.
So, Rand, on the note of patience in that conversation, what is your message today to the fan that maybe is frustrated with one or two or however many of the picks over the weekend? What's kind of your message to that season ticket holder or fan that maybe has orange tinted glasses sometimes and and may not be as big of a fan of some of the picks specifically?
Well, I mean, I'll say this. I'm not on social media, so I don't, see those things that are being said. My focus is, again, constantly looking to improve this team every day and just know that we're working, and again, it's not a finished product. We're not playing Sunday. We're not playing today or Thursday. So like I said, it's the process and player acquisition isn't over, and so we're always diligently working to find the best, football players to bring to this team, and it's just a patient approach.
Oh, sorry, Rand.
I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
you go. I cut you off.
No, I'm good. It's your turn.
No, I was curious because and it's a good message because, like you said, you're not on social media. We're here in radio, and so you hear a lot of the people that are out there, and everybody's going to have their opinions. An opinion that I think a lot of us have with the 7th round pick was Tennessee Martin wide receiver Colton Dowell. I mean, just talk about this guy. What a story for him to be, able to stay here and get a chance with you guys. Like, what did you see out of him that made you think, okay, 7th round, there's some value here?
No, he's a good football player. He's a strong-built guy. We just saw improvement from the time that you watched his tape, and some things that you may thought that he could have worked on. And then we got him here for our local day, and just through his work with our wide receiver coach, Rob, you saw improvement on things just in the drill work in the, 15, 20 minutes that he had to work on the field with Rob. And so you felt good about it, and after, taking the pick and taking him, I probably got about either 6 texts, I'll say 6 texts and phone calls from teams around the league, saying that either that was the guy our head coach coveted, or that was a guy that they thought was going to that they were going to be able to take in the 7th. And so, it just shows that he was well thought of, in that round. And I just think, the guy's a good football player, and I think he's going to be able to provide us with some 4-down value.
When we look at these draft picks, all offensive, which I'm very proud of, okay?
There he is.
But was this a situation which you described to us earlier where you guys' board and analytics say, you know what, his overall score is better than a defensive guy that we're possibly looking at? Was that the case, or is it, you know what, let's get a younger, faster, more interesting style of offense here for the Tennessee Titans moving forward?
It was really just the way the board came and took shape. We read the board like you read a page in a book. You're reading from left to right, and as you look across, because you rank the guys vertical and then you rank them horizontal, and as you're looking and guys are standing out, you want to trust your board and trust, with the work that your scouts and coaches have done to evaluate these guys, and it's just the way the board just took shape this year.
Titans GM Rand Carthon with us on 104.5 The Zone. And Rand, on the way out, really high marks in the relative athletic score for a lot of the guys you took and guys that are just athletes at every position on that offensive side of the football. How big of a point of emphasis is that for you all, specifically when you have a coach like Mike Vrabel, to just give him as athletic of a roster as possible for him to mold as a coach?
Well, I personally think. Coach Vrabel is, one of the best coaches in the league, and I felt that prior to me coming here. I felt that years ago, and when you have a coach like him, a coach that can, do things schematically to put his players in the best position, it's our job, as a whole to just be tasked with bringing in the most athletic and, best football players we can to help, continue to help him in terms of his game plan. And so that's the piece that we add from the personnel side. But, you always want to add as many athletes to the team as possible. As you guys know, from if you're looking at the offensive line guys that we brought in, the defensive line is now probably one of the most athletic positions in our league. And so you got to be able to stay in front of those guys. And, these corners are getting taller and longer, so you want to continue to improve, at that position. And, and then when you think about the greatest position ever created and walking this earth, the running back position.
Oh, yeah.
You always want to have, athletes there. So, this league as a whole just gets more and more athletic, every year, and you have to be able to keep pace with that.
Rand, you're sounding like the Titans way right there between Chris Johnson, Eddie George, and Derrick Henry talking about the best position, the running back position. I just know Ramon Foster is heartbroken you didn't say right guard.
Well, I mean, Ramon knows.
Come on, Rand.
We as running backs, we help make those right guards right.
That's right.
And we show the love to the big fellas. We take care of them, and he knows. Because trust me, at some point in Ramon's life, whether it was Little League, Church League, PAL League, he wanted to carry the ball.
Exactly.
So, see, that's the problem right there, Rand. Come on, man. Look. You're better than this, okay? That's all I got to tell you.
This is why Rand's so close with George Foster, by the way, right here.
Yeah, it is, because he run into the backs of offensive linemen. That's what he do. But
I never ran up the back of the offensive lineman unless it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and we just needed that yard. That's just the surge. That's what we do.
You know what, Rand? I was in a space to do my impression of you, but I really,
really?
I don't know if I'm ready for it right now, man.
No, let's go.
Please, Rand.
You set the table.
Yeah,
have you heard
Rand.
about this? Are the streets talking about the Ramran Foster? Is that what we're calling this? I don't know what we're calling this.
The Rand.
I need to hear this. Let's go.
So I talked to Ryan Tannehill earlier this offseason. My conversation with Ryan Tannehill is that he's our quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, and I'm his quarterback of this franchise, and we believe in the Titans. So I'm telling you, he's here because he's under contract. That's you, Rand, in the earful, man.
Okay.
The cadence is there. I'm a little off, but it's been a running joke on here. It's like, man, Rand sound like me talking when I'm talking about this is Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans, and he's under contract. And Ryan know where he stands with us, and I with him in this Tennessee Titans fan base. I'm telling you, man.
I'll say this, big fella, when I see you, it's on site.
Yes!
I won't be wearing Crocs then.
Yeah.
Rand, I feel like we hit about every possible note that you could hit in this conversation. We really appreciate the time this morning.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Rand.
There he is. There's Rand Carthon with us.
What a good sport.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will. A good sport, for sure.